They said no human had ever survived here. The stories whispered in starports and war rooms were all the same. A lone soldier drops into the ruined fields, and silence follows. Captain Ethan Reyes knew better. The ruins stretched for miles beneath. A thick, toxic orange sky. Skeletal towers of a lost civilization jutted like broken bones against the horizon. Ash drifted down in lazy spirals, settling on the cracked streets littered with shattered alien tech and forgotten weapons. Ethan's breath came in ragged bursts inside his sealed helmet. His lungs burned. His muscles screamed for rest, but surrender was not a word he allowed himself. Somewhere out there, dozens, maybe hundreds of alien hunters prowled these ruins, hunting him like prey. Their claws, scales, and cold, unblinking eyes were designed to kill. Ethan's only advantage, his mind and the stubborn refusal to die. He crouched behind the remains of a giant rusted machine, the last sanctuary in a city that had long since died. His comm crackled softly, a faint lifeline to Earth Command, but no one could come. Not now, not ever. Then a whisper of movement. Ethan froze. Heart pounding like a war drum, he scanned the shadows. 4 gleaming eyes blinked from the darkness. The Carvex, the insectoid warriors feared across 3 star systems. Their mandibles clicked softly as they prowled closer, senses honed to a razor's edge. They communicated in clicks and hisses, plotting their kill. He was outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched. But he had one advantage no alien could understand: human unpredictability. Ethan gripped his pulse rifle tighter. Every muscle coiled like a spring. The first Carvec lunged, a blur of jagged limbs and armor plates. Ethan rolled aside, firing a burst that sent the creature crashing into rubble. The others screeched, rallying with savage fury. A spray of laser fire lit the darkness, painting the ruins with deadly arcs of blue and red. Ethan darted through the wreckage, weaving between collapsed walls and flickering neon signs in an abandoned market district. His boots barely made a sound on cracked concrete. He dove into a collapsed stairwell, breath ragged, heart hammering, in his chest. The alien hunters fanned out, their clicks echoing like a death sentence. Ethan's mind raced. No reinforcements were coming. The nearest human fleet was light years away, and this planet was a forgotten battlefield on the edge of the galaxy. If he fell here, humanity's pride would vanish with him. He reached into his pack, pulling out a small device, an EMP grenade scavenged from alien tech. It wasn't much, but it was enough to blind and stun the robotic drones the aliens deployed. The stairwell rumbled as heavy footsteps pounded closer. Ethan took a breath and hurled the grenade into the corridor. The device erupted with a high-pitched whine, showering the hallway in pulses of electromagnetic energy. Alien drones faltered and crashed, sparks flying from broken circuits. The Carvex howled in frustration and rage. Seizing the moment, Ethan sprinted up the stairs, bursting through the ceiling into a shattered plaza. The orange sky above crackled with distant lightning storms. He didn't stop running. Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the rubble. A massive shadow lunged at him. Ethan barely dodged, feeling the rush of scorching breath and the swipe of razor-sharp claws. A Vraxian predator, a hulking beast bred for war, snarled and circled, blocking his only escape. His pulse rifle clicked empty. No ammo, no options. His fingers darted to the combat knife at his belt. Heart racing, Ethan backed toward the edge of a crumbling platform, overlooking a deep chasm. The beast snarled, muscles rippling as it prepared to strike, then something inside him snapped. "Not today," Ethan whispered. He charged, sliding low beneath the beast's claws, driving the knife deep into its neck. The creature screamed, thrashing wildly, then collapsed in a heap of twitching limbs. Ethan staggered back, gasping for breath, hands slick with alien blood. Far below, the chasm yawned. a grave for those who failed. He looked up. The alien eyes were still watching, countless, cold and unyielding. One human, countless aliens. No surrender. Ethan's breath echoed in his helmet as he crouched behind a fractured wall, heart pounding like a drum in the quiet ruins. The Predator's death still rang in his ears, but the moment of relief was razor-thin. The Karvek scouts had vanished into the shadows, but he knew better than to believe the hunt was over. Above, the shattered skyline burned with fading sunlight, casting twisted shadows through the crumbling towers. The air hung heavy with dust and the acrid stench of burnt circuits, a silent reminder of wars long past but never forgotten. Suddenly, a shrill pulse hummed from his wrist console. "Unidentified signal detected," the AI voice warned, cold and mechanical. Ethan's eyes snapped to the display. A swarm of biomechanical drones, sleek, spider-like machines with pulsating red sensors, were converging fast, hunting with ruthless efficiency. Their movement was coordinated, almost too precise for organic minds. "They're closing in," Ethan muttered, scanning for escape routes. He darted across the broken plaza, shards of glass crunching underfoot. The drones swarmed like a living nightmare, spinning webs of light and scanning beams that sliced through debris and shadows alike. One drone's scanner locked on him, sending a sharp beam that sizzled a scorch mark on the ground. Ethan rolled. Behind an overturned vehicle, an ancient alien transport truck with faded glyphs etched on its hull. His comm crackled. "Captain Reyes, status report," came the steady voice of Lieutenant Mara on Earth Command. Ethan's fingers flew over. The compad. "Multiple hostiles closing in. Drones are adaptive, tracking heat signatures and movement patterns. I'm pinned. Need diversion. Hold tight. Reinforcements en route. ETA unknown." Mara's voice was calm but urgent. He couldn't rely on that. The alien warlords controlled this sector with iron fists. Reinforcements meant little if he didn't survive long enough. Ethan glanced up. Above the ruined city, massive warships hung like vultures, alien flagships swarming the skies, their turrets scanning below for any sign of resistance. The ground trembled beneath his boots as he sprinted toward the skeletal remains of a collapsed cathedral. A structure long dead, but still towering like a monument to despair. Inside, the darkness was absolute, broken only by faint flickers from his helmet lights. But the silence was a lie. He could hear the mechanical whirs and clicks of the drones hunting him. A soft scuttling came from the shadows. Something was watching. His pulse quickened. He edged forward, senses razor sharp. Suddenly, a pair of glowing eyes blinked at him from a narrow side chamber. Ethan froze. "Show yourself," he hissed. A slim figure emerged, a Velkai scout, a pale amphibious alien with razor claws and a venomous stare. The scout's breath steamed in the cold air, eyes locked on Ethan like a predator, sizing up prey. They circled. Ethan's hand hovered over his sidearm, muscles tensed. Without warning, the Velkai lunged, claws slicing the air. Ethan ducked, rolling aside, firing a quick stun shot that sparked against the scout's armored skin, but failed to stop it. The chase was on. They darted through ruined pews, dodging fallen beams and jagged stone. Each step was a gamble. One mistake, and Ethan would be torn apart. The scout's snarls echoed off the walls, relentless. Ethan spotted a control panel flickering weakly near the altar. Desperation flared. He dove for it, fingers dancing over ancient, alien glyphs and buttons, trying to activate whatever power source remained. Suddenly, the cathedral trembled. A hidden trapdoor slid open beneath the scout's feet, and it vanished into darkness with a hiss of frustration. Ethan barely had time to catch his breath before the cathedral's walls began to hum with energy. The ancient structure came alive, a defense mechanism triggered by his intrusion. Walls shifted, sealing exits with grinding stone slabs. The drones outside began pounding on reinforced doors, seeking entry. Ethan was trapped. A voice echoed through the cathedral's intercom, an alien broadcast in guttural tones. "You cannot hide, human. Your end is near." Ethan's heart thundered. He had walked into a deadly spider's web. But surrender? Never. He scanned the chamber for anything useful. Flickering consoles lined the walls. Old tech, but still alive. He ripped a power cell from one, jury-rigging a makeshift EMP device. The drones outside screamed as the pulse burst, frying their sensors and sending them crashing to the ground. The doors creaked, but the closing slowed. Ethan bolted through a narrow passage revealed by the power. Surge, plunging into the bowels of the cathedral. Ahead, darkness stretched like a void. His helmet lights caught the gleam of alien markings, warning signs etched in a language he barely understood. His mind raced. This place was more than a ruin. It was a trap, a fortress, and a tomb. Somewhere deeper, the alien commanders waited, hunting the human who refused to die. Ethan swallowed the rising panic and whispered to himself, "I survive because I refuse to surrender." He pressed forward, every step, bringing him closer to danger, and to the secrets that could turn the galaxy's war upside down. The air inside the alien war camp was thick with tension, thicker than the smog hanging over the ruin fields. Flickering holoscreens cast eerie blue glows over dozens of alien warriors gathered in a massive cavern carved deep beneath the planet's surface. Each faction's banners hung like battle scars, jagged mandibles, shining scales, twisting circuits. The ancient stone walls trembled faintly as heavy footsteps echoed off the vaulted ceilings. Ethan Reyes slipped through the shadows like a ghost. His pulse quickened with every step, not from fear, but from the knowledge that he was surrounded by the deadliest creatures in the galaxy, creatures who had forgotten what it meant to trust. The warlords were here, locked in bitter argument, their voices a mix of growls, clicks, and mechanical rasping. Each blamed the other for recent failures, each too proud to join forces. Ethan's sharp eyes caught every detail, the flicker of distrust, the twitch of claws, the subtle hand signals that spoke of sabotage and assassination. He moved closer, hiding behind a pillar carved with ancient alien script. His mission was clear: gather intel, find weaknesses, and, if he dared, turn these rivals against one another. A booming voice cut through the chamber, dripping with venomous authority. The Karvek warlord, a towering insectoid with gleaming chitin armor, slammed a claw on the table. "We cannot continue wasting resources on human dogs. They will be crushed, soon." A sleek, serpentine alien with cybernetic eyes hissed in reply. "Your arrogance blinds you, Karvek. We lose because your scouts fail to bring real intelligence. The humans adapt too quickly." Around them, grumbles and snarls rippled through the crowd. Alliances here were fragile threads ready to snap. Ethan's jaw tightened. This was the opening he needed. He slipped closer, planting small devices hacked from alien tech, surveillance bugs designed to intercept and broadcast every secret exchange. But then a shadow moved at the edge of his vision. A Velkai assassin, eyes sharp and deadly, stepped from the darkness, blade gleaming. Ethan froze, every muscle coiled for a fight. "Who's there?" the assassin whispered, voice like a knife's edge. Ethan's mind raced. He had no cover, no escape route. His hand darted to his sidearm, but the assassin was faster, a blur of movement. A silent strike aimed for Ethan's throat. He barely twisted, catching the blade with his forearm, pain flaring instantly. The assassin snarled and lunged again, but Ethan fired a stun dart that found its mark. The assassin crumpled, convulsing in a spasm. No time to waste. Ethan ripped the assassin's cloak and fashioned a crude disguise. Slipping it on, he merged with the alien crowd, heart hammering beneath the borrowed armor. Eyes flicked over him, searching, suspicious, but he held their gaze steady. The warlords continued to bicker, unaware the greatest threat stood among them. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the cavern. The lights flickered, and a chorus of alarms blared. Ethan's bugs were compromised. The warlords knew something was wrong. Chaos erupted. Alien guards spilled into the chamber, weapons raised. Ethan darted into the confusion, using every ounce of speed and cunning to vanish into winding tunnels. His lungs burned as he ran through the labyrinthine corridors, chased by snarling warriors and blinking drones. Every corner hid death. He burst into a large chamber filled with massive energy reactors humming with power. An idea sparked. He scanned the controls and found a way to overload the core. If he could blow the reactor, the entire war camp would be plunged into chaos. But the risk was enormous. Detonating this could kill hundreds, maybe innocent captives. Ethan hesitated. He clenched his fists. "Sacrifice isn't weakness," he muttered. Fingers flying, he set the overload sequence and sprinted toward the exit. Behind him, the warlord's roars of fury echoed. The corridors trembled as the reactor neared meltdown. He burst through the entrance just as a wave of alien soldiers surged forward. A hail of plasma fire lit the tunnel, sizzling past his armor. Ethan rolled, fired, and pushed forward, lungs burning, body screaming. A final massive explosion rocked the planet. Flames and debris shot into the cavernous sky. As dust settled, Ethan's voice cut through the calm, steady, despite exhaustion. Divide and conquer isn't just strategy, it's survival, because sometimes the deadliest enemy isn't the one outside, but the one within. The shadows of the underworld tunnel swallowed Ethan whole, the air thick with the metallic tang of rust and decay. The distant hum of alien machinery echoed through the labyrinth beneath the war camp, an endless maze where trust was the rarest currency. Ethan's boots barely made a sound as he moved deeper, senses sharpened. Every step was a gamble in this alien tomb. Then from the darkness, two eyes flashed, a cold, unblinking gaze that froze him in place. "Looking for a ghost, human?" The voice was low, smooth, and laced with a mechanical hiss. A figure emerged, half shrouded in shadows. Lyra, part machine, part alien, all danger. Her pale skin was marred with shimmering cybernetic implants that traced intricate patterns across her face and arms. Her eyes glowed faintly violet, scanning Ethan with unreadable intent. Ethan's hand instinctively hovered over his sidearm, but he held still. "You're the ghost they warned me about," she said, voice almost amused. "Then maybe you should. Help me before I become a corpse," Ethan replied, his voice steady despite the tension knotting his chest. Lyra stepped closer, a slight smile curving her lips. "I'm not your ally." "Not yet." Ethan studied her carefully. She was an enigma, trusted by no one, feared by many, but right now she was his only chance. "Why help me at all?" he asked. She shrugged, the mechanical limbs beneath her armor whirring softly. "Because sometimes enemies make better partners than friends, especially when the alternative is death." A sudden clang echoed behind them. Both snapped to attention. As the tunnel's dim lights flickered violently, Ethan's breath caught. They were not alone. From the darkness surged a squad of Velkai hunters, sleek, deadly, their claws glinting like knives in the flickering light. Lyra's eyes flashed violet as she drew twin energy blades, their edges humming with lethal power. Ethan raised his rifle, adrenaline surging. The Velkai charged, metal clashed, and lasers streaked through the stale air. Ethan and Lyra moved as one, a lethal dance of survival. She spun, slicing through one hunter's armor, sparks flying. Ethan fired rapid bursts, taking down another. Despite the chaos, a strange rhythm emerged. Two predators united against a pack. When the last Velkai fell, silence returned like a heavy fog. Ethan's chest heaved. "Why risk yourself for me?" Lyra's gaze softened briefly. "Because there's a bigger game at play, one that could destroy us all." She stepped closer, voice dropping. "There's a traitor among the warlords, feeding secrets to the humans. Someone playing both sides." Ethan's eyes narrowed. "And you want me to find out who?" Lyra nodded. "If we don't, this war will consume every world in its path." For the first time since landing on this forsaken planet, Ethan felt a flicker of hope, but trust was a double-edged sword. "Why should I believe you?" he asked. Her smile was cold but genuine. "Because like you, I have nothing left to lose." The tunnel rumbled beneath their feet, an ominous reminder of the danger pressing close. They had no time to waste. Together, they vanished deeper into the shadows, two broken souls bound by necessity, stepping into the heart of betrayal. The underground labyrinth seemed to close around Ethan and Lyra like a living beast, the walls humming with ancient energy and whispered secrets. Every shadow held a threat, every corner a possibility of betrayal. But they had no choice. The warlord's traitor lurked somewhere in this maze, and time was running out. Ethan's boots echoed softly on the cracked stone as he followed Lyra, her violet eyes piercing the darkness like twin stars. Their silence was thick, charged with unspoken questions and fragile trust. Suddenly, a soft chime sounded from Lyra's wrist console. "Movement detected. Multiple hostiles approaching," she whispered, eyes narrowing. Ethan raised his rifle, senses on high alert. From the gloom, a group of soldiers emerged, alien mercenaries, faces hidden beneath sleek helmets, weapons drawn. They moved with deadly precision, surrounding the pair. "Drop your weapons," a cold voice ordered through a comm link. Lyra exchanged a quick glance with Ethan. "Looks like we're not the only ones hunting," she murmured. Ethan's fingers tensed on his rifle trigger. "Who sent you?" he demanded. No answer, only cold, unwavering stares. Suddenly, one mercenary stepped forward, helmet retracting to reveal a familiar face. Drax, a disgraced Vakari soldier rumored to have betrayed his own kind. "You're playing a dangerous game, human," Drax said with a cruel smile. "But you're in way over your head." Ethan's mind raced. Drax's presence here meant only one thing. The traitor was closer than they thought. Before Ethan could react, Lyra lunged forward, blade flashing in the dim light. Chaos erupted. Blades clashed. Laser fire lit the chamber in deadly arcs. Ethan dodged a plasma blast, rolling behind a broken pillar. Lyra fought like a whirlwind, cutting down mercenaries with cold efficiency. But the numbers were against them. Drax snarled, raising a pulse rifle and firing. Ethan dived, the blast scorching the stone inches from his head. With no time to reload, Ethan drew his combat knife, charging toward Drax. They collided with brutal force, steel clashing, grunts of effort echoing in the chamber. Suddenly, Drax twisted, driving his blade toward Ethan's side. Pain exploded as metal pierced armor, blood seeping through. Ethan roared, twisting free and slamming Drax against the wall. With a desperate strike, Ethan knocked the rifle from Drax's grasp. Lyra finished off the remaining mercenaries, her blades humming with lethal precision. Breathing hard, Ethan glared at Drax, who lay pinned but smirking. "You're the traitor," Ethan said coldly. Drax laughed, venom dripping from his voice. "You think it's that simple? The warlords are puppets. The real enemy plays shadows." Ethan's head spun. This war was deeper than he'd imagined. Before he could respond, Lyra's console beeped urgently. Incoming transmission from the warlords. "They're sending a hit squad after us." Ethan's jaw clenched. "We need to move. Now." They slipped into the maze again, wounds burning, minds racing, but as they disappeared into the dark, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that the greatest danger wasn't the enemies hunting them. It was the secrets buried within the tangled web of alliances and betrayals. Because in this war, trust was a weapon sharper than any blade. The jagged tunnel mouth loomed before Ethan and Lyra like the maw of some ancient beast, breathing cold gusts of stale air and shadow. The warlord's hit squad was closing fast, a relentless tide of armored warriors and lethal machines, hungry for blood and vengeance. Ethan's side ached where Drax's blade had sliced through his armor, but he pushed the pain aside. There was no room for weakness here. "We have to cut through the warlord's command center," Lyra said, voice low but steady. "It's our only chance to end this." Ethan nodded. "Lead the way." They slipped through the winding tunnels, every echo a threat. The air vibrated with distant alarms and the heavy tread of patrolling guards. Ahead, the cavern opened into a colossal chamber. The warlord's lair. A throne of jagged metal and flickering energy surrounded by holographic maps flickering, with red alerts. The warlords themselves sat in a tense circle, the Karvek, the Serpentine Cyrix, and others, locked in a deadly standoff. Ethan swallowed his fear. This was the heart of the beast. Lyra scanned the perimeter. "We'll have to move fast. They won't hesitate to kill us." With barely a moment's pause, they slipped into the shadows, inching closer. Suddenly, a sharp click echoed. A laser. Tripwire ignited, slicing through the air like a razor. Red lights flashed. The warlords' heads snapped toward the intrusion. "Intruders!" one bellowed, claws slashing the air. Alarms screamed as soldiers poured into the chamber. Ethan and Lyra sprang into action. Blades clashed, plasma bolts zipped through the thick air, sparks flying in every direction. Ethan dodged a sweeping claw strike, firing rapid shots that sparked against alien armor. Lyra weaved through enemies with deadly grace, her energy blades a blur. The warlords barked orders, their voices rising in furious command. In the chaos, Ethan spotted a console glowing ominously. The control point for the war camp's defenses. If they could seize it, they might turn the tide. He shouted to Lyra, "Cover me!" She nodded, slicing down 2 attackers as Ethan sprinted toward the panel. Plasma blasts scorched the floor behind him. Hands trembling, Ethan hacked into the alien interface, fingers flying over strange glyphs and symbols. The warlord's forces surged closer. Suddenly, the chamber rumbled violently. Ethan's vision blurred as a massive shockwave threw him to the ground. Through the dust, a towering figure emerged, a Vakari warlord, heavily armored and bristling with weaponry, his eyes burning with rage. Ethan struggled to rise. The warlord advanced like a predator. Lyra met the beast's charge, blades clashing with raw fury. Ethan scrambled to his feet, firing with desperate precision. The warlord snarled, blocking shots with a reinforced shield. With a thunderous roar, the warlord slammed his fist into the console Ethan was hacking. Sparks exploded, systems flickered. The defenses began to rearm. Ethan cursed, "Lyra, now!" With a powerful spin, Lyra plunged her blades deep into the warlord's side, piercing armor and flesh. The warlord roared in agony, but was far from defeated. Ethan grabbed a plasma grenade from his belt, pulled the pin, and lobbed it at the warlord's feet. The chamber erupted in a blaze of fire and shrapnel. When the smoke cleared, the warlord lay motionless, shattered. Ethan collapsed against the console. Breathing ragged, the defenses powered down. The warlord's forces faltered, confusion rippling through their ranks. Ethan looked at Lyra, eyes burning with fierce determination. "We've broken their command," he said. "But this war isn't over." From the shadows, a cold voice whispered, "Not even close." Ethan spun, gun raised. A figure stepped forward, cloaked, faceless, but with power that chilled the blood. The true mastermind behind the warlord's chaos had revealed themselves, and their game was just beginning. The cavern fell deathly silent as the cloaked figure stepped from the shadows, their presence sucking the air from the room. Ethan's rifle was raised, every muscle taut, but even his seasoned instincts couldn't pierce the enigma before him. "Who are you?" Ethan demanded, voice sharp as a blade. The figure's hood slipped back slowly, revealing an unsettling hybrid of flesh and circuitry. Their eyes shimmered with a cold, calculating light that seemed to pierce straight into his soul. I'm the architect of this war," the figure said, voice smooth yet void of warmth. "The one who set the warlords against each other, and you, human, were merely a pawn in my game." Ethan's blood ran cold. The puppet master had finally revealed themselves. Lyra stepped forward, blades humming. "Your manipulation ends. Here," the figure chuckled, a sound like grinding metal. "You misunderstand? This is only the beginning." With a swift motion, the mastermind triggered a hidden panel, flooding the chamber with blinding light. Automated turrets emerged from the walls, their barrels tracking Ethan and Lyra with lethal precision. "No surrender," Ethan whispered, steel settling in his eyes. He lunged forward, firing as Lyra danced through the hail of laser fire, slicing through the turret's control panels, but the mastermind vanished into the chaos, leaving behind only cryptic echoes and a chilling warning. As the warlord's forces regrouped, Ethan realized the true scale of the threat. This war was a shadow play, and the real battle had just begun. Smoke curled through the shattered ruins of the warlord's chamber, the acrid sting of burnt circuitry mixing with the cold tang of fear. Ethan crouched behind a twisted metal pillar, heart pounding, not just from battle, but from the weight of what lay ahead. Around him, alien warriors limped, clutching wounds and eyes wide with disbelief. The grand game had unraveled, but the final move remained unseen. Lyra's violet eyes scanned the battlefield, locking with Ethan's. "We've forced their hand, but the mastermind won't give up easily." Ethan nodded grimly. "Then neither will we." Suddenly, the cavern shook violently. The floor cracked, and from the fissures rose a monstrous mech, a towering war machine, bristling with weaponry and glowing with ominous power. The mastermind's voice echoed through the chamber, distorted but unmistakable. "You cannot stop what has begun. Surrender or be crushed." Ethan rose, gripping his rifle with iron resolve. "No surrender!" The mech fired, the blast searing the air inches from Ethan. He dove to the side, rolling toward Lyra. Together they charged, weaving through blasts and debris. Lyra's blades struck the mech's joints, sparks flying as metal screamed. Ethan fired precise shots at exposed control nodes, each hit reverberating through the machine. The mech faltered, smoke pouring from shattered panels. But the mastermind unleashed a final trap, a wave of energy that froze Ethan in place, cold spreading like ice through his veins. His vision blurred. Darkness beckoned, but then, through the haze, came the distant roar of Allied ships breaking through the planet's atmosphere. Reinforcements arriving against all odds. Ethan's muscles clenched, fighting the paralysis. "Hold on," Lyra urged, her voice steady as she slashed at the mech's core. With a final desperate surge, Ethan broke free, firing the last round that pierced the mech's power core. The machine convulsed, then collapsed in a deafening crash. Silence fell. The mastermind was gone, defeated, but the scars of their war remained etched deep. Ethan looked at Lyra, breath ragged but eyes bright. "We survived," he said, "not because we were the strongest, but because we refused to surrender." And as dawn crept over the shattered landscape, the galaxy learned a new truth. One human, countless aliens, and no surrender.